All right, today's lesson is going to be solving systems using the elimination method. So we are going to identify which variable we are going to eliminate. So we want the opposite. So if it was plus 3x, we need minus 3x in the other equation. If you can't do one automatically, we're going to multiply either one equation or both equations so we can get opposite values to eliminate. Once we eliminate, we're going to eliminate a variable, so there's only one variable left. We solve for that given variable, then we can substitute that variable back into either equation, but the original equations, and then find our other solution and write an ordered pair as our solution. So if we look at example 1, we have 4x plus 8y equals 20, and then negative 4x plus 2y equals negative 30. Notice these 4x's, the 4x and the negative 4x, those are already opposites. So we don't have to multiply our equations by anything. We can add our equations together to eliminate the 4x. So I'm going to add my equations together. So 4x plus negative 4x, those cancel. 8y plus 2y, that's going to give me that 10y. And then I also add 20 plus the negative 30. And then we're going to add that together to get negative 10. So now I eliminated my x variable and I'm left with just y. So let's solve for y. So I can divide 10 on both sides. So y is equal to negative 1. So we found our first variable, y equals negative 1. So we can now substitute that back into any of the y's in any of your original equations. I usually choose the first one, but again, whichever one you think might be mathematically easier to solve, you can choose that. So I'm choosing 4x plus 8y equals 20, and I'm going to substitute this negative 1 in for that y. So 4x plus 8 times negative 1 is equal to 20. And then now we solve for x. So 4x minus 8 is going to equal 20. Again, continue solving for x, so that means I'm going to add that 8 to the other side to get 4x alone. Then I divide by 4, and I'm going to get x equals 7. So now I have my x variable and my y variable. We can write that as an ordered pair. So remember, it's x comma y. So 7 comma negative 1, x comma y. All right, go back and pause and replay if you need to go over any of these again. If not, let's move on to example 2. Again, I want to find opposites. So notice there are no opposites. We have 3x and a positive x, negative y and a negative 2y. So I'm going to multiply either one of my equations or both of them to get opposites. It does not matter which one. You can choose to multiply to get opposite x or multiply to get opposite y's. For this one, I'm going to multiply my first one by negative 2 so I can get opposite y's. We could have gotten opposite x's, and I would have multiplied the second equation to get opposite x's, but I'm choosing to do opposite y's. So negative 2 times 3x, I'm going to come write it below. So negative 6x. Then negative 2 times negative y, positive 2y. And notice, now I have opposite y's. That's my goal I was trying to do. And then negative 2 times 1, negative 2. So now I'm looking at these two equations that I just highlighted, and I'm going to eliminate from there. So x plus negative 6, that's going to give me negative 5x. My y's get eliminated. Negative 2y plus 2y eliminated. Equals negative 8 plus a negative 2, we're going to get negative 10. Now, I eliminated y, so let's solve for x. I'm going to divide by negative 5 on both sides. So I get a positive 2, because negative 10 divided by negative 5 is going to give me a positive 2. Now, I can choose any original equation. So when I say original, I'm either talking about 3x minus y plus equals 1, excuse me, or the x minus 2y equals negative 8. So when you go back to substitute your variable, do it to one of the original equations. I'm going to choose 3x minus y equals 1. That's the equation I choose, but you could have done x minus 2y equals negative 8, either one. So now I'm going to plug in my x as a 2. So 3 times 2 minus y equals 1. So I substitute my variable I have, and then now let's solve for y. So I get 6 minus y equals 1. I'm going to subtract that 6 to both sides. So I get negative 5. Be careful, that's minus y, so that negative stays in front of that y, because in the end, I'm going to have to divide by that negative 1, and I'm going to get a positive 5. So my solution is 2, 5. So again, you might have to multiply one equation, might have to multiply two equations, but always go back and substitute to the original equation. All right, let's go on and look at the back page. Okay, let's look at example 3. So we want to get opposites. So I can choose to multiply my x or my y or one of the equations to get opposite x or y. I'm going to choose to do opposite x on this one. So I'm going to multiply my top equation by 2 so I can get opposite of negative 6x, which would be a positive 6x. But make sure to multiply that 2 by everything. So 2 times 3x is a positive 6x. 2 times negative 2y, that's negative 4y. 2 times 10, that's 20. So now add your equations together to eliminate. So those 6x's eliminate. Negative 6x plus 6x goes away. Notice your y's also eliminate, so you're left with 0 on that side. 0 equals negative 20 plus 20. Those eliminate also. So we get 0 equals 0. If everything eliminates and you're left with this true statement, then our solution is going to be infinitely many. So if you multiply and everything cancels, you're going to be left with an infinitely many solutions. If you're left with a false statement, then it's no solutions. All right, let's pop down to example 5, and then I'm going to have you do some on your own and pause the video and check them yourself. But let's look at example 5. Again, I need opposite numbers. So I can choose to find opposite of x, or I could choose to find opposite of y's. In my opinion, I would choose the x's because I would keep my numbers smaller rather than trying to find the common number for 3y and 8y. So I'm going to get my x's to be opposite. So I know I can multiply my top one by 5 to get 10. So then I would need to multiply this bottom one by negative 2 to get 10. So 5 times 2x, that's 10x. 5 times 3y, that's 15y. 5 times 17, that's going to give me 85. So that's for the first equation. 10x plus 15y equals 85. Now multiply your second one. Negative 2 times 5x is negative 10x. Negative 2 times 8y is negative 16y. And then negative 2 times that 20, that's going to give me negative 40. Then I add my equations together to eliminate. 10x plus negative 10x, those cancel. 15y plus a negative 16y, that's going to give me negative 1y or just negative y. And then that's going to equal 80 plus negative 40, or excuse me, 85 minus 40 That's going to give me 45. So now solve for y. Divide both sides by -1. So I'm going to get -45 for my y. Go ahead and pause the video here, plug in to one of your original equations to get your x value. All right, I chose the first equation, but you could have picked the second equation. As long as it's the original equation, plug back in and you should have gotten 76 for your x. So our solution is 76, -45. All right, I would like for you to try example 4 and example 6, and then pause the video, try them out, and then unpause to look at your solutions. I will do one at a time, so pause and try 4. I will unpause to get the solution, and then try 6, and then unpause to get the solution. All right, go ahead and check your solution. We should have gotten 1, 4. Again, you wanted opposites. Y was the easier choice, but you could have easily gotten opposite of x's and still gotten the same solution. So solution 1, 4. All right, try example 6 and see what you get for that solution. Go ahead and pause, and then when you unpause, you'll get the solution. All right, we should have gotten no solution because our x's and y's both cancel, leaving 0, but our right side did not cancel, so we got 0 equals 32, which is a false statement, therefore no solution. All right, go back and watch any part of this that you need to look over again, and then start working on homework 2.3.